Hello, you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beer Brigade. I'm John Solo. You are not, and welcome to the big show. It's Monday, as you know, the Talk to the Beard show. And I've been breaking tech today. I don't know if you know this about me, but sometimes it's my aura. I think it's how you say that. I don't think it's aura. I think it's aura. I think it's how you say that. So my aura today has been breaking tech, and my internet connection, for some reason today, I don't know if it's it's windstorms. It's a little rainy, maybe. I don't know. Maybe sinkholes. I think is what we're going to blame it on today. Sinkholes. But my internet connection kind of blows today. So if I'm choppy, if I pop in and out, just have patience with me. And if nothing else, as you know, this is going to be up on YouTube at the end of this. So by this time tomorrow, you'll be able to see it on YouTube, and it'll be a nice, fresh, easy to watch experience for everybody involved. In the meantime, this week, I just finished up. Fuck, what did we just finish up? I can't remember. Oh, we just finished up Hedonist from Ro Horvat, one of the most sex-filled books that I've ever read in my entire life. There was more fucking to be. Those people, it was one of those, like, they can't even walk across a room without fucking each other. It was one of those books, and it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that coming out here soon. We are today working on Blink, Treasure Trail Book 2 from Morgan Bryce. That's through Tantor. And we're going to be moving on to a lot of different shit here over the course of the next week. We are moving. We are rocking through them. We've got Baby and the Billionaire coming up at the end of the week. I think we have a Kelly Fox book coming up. We've got other things rocking out here. Actually, the guest that I have on today, I've got one of her books coming up in the next 2 weeks. We are killing it right now. So that's what we got going on. I have to apologize once again for anybody that doesn't know. We did not do a Rambling Gremlin episode last weekend. I'm so sorry. It is what it is. It's my fault. I had some personal issues last week, and I was out of the studio for like 3 days, so we did not get that done. But we're going to do a double episode this week. So this coming Friday, it's a double episode of the Rambling Gremlin show. Unfortunately, you see, there was like a big sale that lined up on Audible, apparently. I don't really know. I don't buy books. But apparently there's a lot of people buying books lately. So if anyone wants a recommendation in the meantime of how to spend your hard-earned money and your credits and all that, feel free to reach out to Lissa. She loves to talk to you. You can hit her on Messenger, or you can just pop it in my group. Just ask a general question. I'm sure she'd be happy to tell you what's released and everything in the meantime. Past that, of course, Sunday we're doing the regular morning coffee thing. And I think that's about it. So I'm excited to get this guest on today for a lot of reasons. One, I'm fond of her. She's a cool person. I was looking through her list of books here. Like, I try and here's what I do for show prep. I pull up their website. That's it. That's like all I fucking do. I don't even think about what I'm going to say before I say it. But as I pulled it up, I realized I cannot see. Well, here, let me bring her on here. Just how many books have you written, Nora Phoenix? How many? I'm looking at this high note, by the way.
Um,
You're up.
I 50, I think. I've
I think
lost count.
it's got to be more than that. I think it has to be more. I'm
I
looking
don't
here.
know.
It's a shit ton of
It's a
books, man.
lot. It's a lot. Well, and there's obviously all the translations, so I'm not gonna, but yeah, all in all, it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was looking through,
Listen,
like, you've got that Jilted Jaren coming out. You've got this new series, The Foster Brothers. Congratulations, by the way.
thank you.
And I was looking at your website, and I was like, well, New Daddy at 47. I did that one. Jilted Jaren, I'm about to do that one. I know I'm going to be doing the Hired Hadley book 2. Les Gordon du Professeur. So I guess you put up the translation books here on your website as well, I
Yes.
guess. Yeah,
Yes,
excellent.
I do.
How many, what languages do you normally get translated into?
I translate into German, Italian, French, and I'm working on Dutch, which is my own native language. So I'm actually translating one of my own books, just because I want to get a feel for the Dutch market, and I'm a cheap translator. What can I say? Um, but yeah, no, I absolutely love the translations because you get to connect with a whole new audience. Not everybody reads English well enough to read whole books. And so this is a way of getting new readers. And I love languages. I speak a few, so yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that a bit last time, but refresh me. What languages do you speak?
So Dutch is my native language. I grew up in the Netherlands, and then obviously I speak a little English. My accent tends to vary depending on my level of emotions and how drunk I am, because It gets stronger if I get upset or really enthusiastic about something. And
Right.
then I've lived in Germany, so my German is pretty decent. I speak Bayerisch, which is a German. You can't really call it a dialect. It's a separate language that they speak in the south. Um, I understand French. I speak it a little, but it's getting rusty. But I understand it well enough. Same with Spanish, and then I took Latin and Greek in high school, so that's still there as well.
Yeah, I barely
Lots of
speak
languages.
English. Yeah, that's amazing to me. When I was in Amsterdam, I learned that apparently English is damn near I guess it is a second language of the country. In Amsterdam specifically, everyone spoke fluent
Yeah.
English, better than myself oftentimes. Is that like something in grade school you're learning, like first, second grade, you're already learning English?
Well, we kind of have to because nobody speaks Dutch. I mean, the
Yeah.
Netherlands is 17 million people, and there's, I don't know, a couple of million in Belgium that speak, a variation on Dutch, and that's it. So if we want to communicate with the rest of the world, you'll have to learn English. And the benefit we have is that in the Netherlands, we don't dub, we subtitle. So we hear the English of all the American movies and all the American series, and we read the Dutch, which is a really great way of learning English because you get to hear the expressions and then you see the translation. So even without actively learning, which we also do in you start in I think in elementary they start and then through middle and high school, you get a lot of English, but just hearing it so often, we basically are exposed to English every day through all the culture, and that really helps with getting a good sense for the language. But technically, our only language is Dutch, and in the north of the Netherlands, they speak Frisian, which is Fries, which is a separate language. So yeah, a little.
It has to give you a better understanding of expression of emotion. There are
Yes.
certain yeah, my wife is brilliant and she is not fluent in another language, but definitely understands and speaks a bit of several other languages. And she and also my best friend, who is German and speaks multiple languages, they will one will bring up a word to me that can only be expressed in another language, and it's a complex
Yeah.
combination of emotions typically.
Yeah.
Um, does that carry over into your writing at all? I mean, I've read a
Yeah.
lot of your books. I don't see you tossing in those words all the time, but I imagine the emotional content of them probably does.
Sometimes it's hard for me to translate. So one classic Dutch word that does not have a translation in any other language is a Dutch word that is gezellig, which also happens to be really hard to pronounce because of the two hard that we have.
Yeah.
But gezellig is a concept and it means like cozy. It means that you have a certain emotion where you feel relaxed and at home. It's hanging out with friends. It's being at home when the weather is bad outside and you're snuggled up on the couch with a book and you have a cup of tea and a cookie. It's that emotion of just coziness, of warmth, of atmosphere. It does not have a translation. It is a classic Dutch word. Those are the words I miss when I'm writing because they'll pop into my head and I'm like, yeah, I can't say that in English. Like there's no words, so I'll have to describe it. And there's a couple of those words as well from German from a time that I lived there. My favorite example in German is always Schadenfreude, which basically means that you are sort of happy about somebody else's misfortune, which, you're rejoicing in karma being served basically. And it's a German word that doesn't really have a translation. I love it. It's works for me. I have a lot of Schadenfreude.
Jody's been learning German. My best friend, um, anyways, she's German. She's coming over. She's an author as well, but she's coming over here so she can go to GRL and she's going to come stay with us for a week, and then we're going to go to GRL. So Jody's been learning German, which is freaking awesome because I don't speak a lick of German. I never will. So one of the things that she learned, and this is a simple one, and it just made me laugh, so I had to bring it up, is the word gross in German means large.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. For a number, I have a gross penis is just a fun thing to say, isn't it? I mean, it's
Yeah.
um, there are many words like that which just crack me up. And oftentimes now my best friend Anna, she doesn't really speak German to me, but I hear German out of my living room every fucking day for the last 6 months. Jody's
Yeah.
been learning it, so I wander through and she's like I call her Fräulein occasionally. That's about the extent of what I've got of it. Um, when you're doing your translation, are you finding yourself changing the text any at all when you're translating yourself to Dutch?
Yes, yes. Translating is never a literal thing. You have to translate the meaning of a sentence, and you also have to translate the context. So certain things that I've written for the American context would not make sense in Germany, or would not make sense in the Netherlands or in Dutch. So you have to find either an equivalent, or somehow communicate that meaning. So an example is if you use dialect in English. One of my books, the No Shame series, has a main character who's from Boston, which obviously is a very, the pak de ka and half a yard, all that accent, very strong. Translating that into German is really hard because he's using words that are very specific for the Boston slang. You can't translate into German. You either have to pick a German dialect, but then the whole book doesn't make sense. Or, as we did, we used the original Boston words, put them in italics, and just explained in the back of the book that this is what it was. But sometimes you have to add a sentence. You have to add, like, he's speaking with, an accent where you would show it in English. Those are the reasons why you need a good translator, because a good translator knows how to get that across, and it's not easy. German also has the always the du and sie problem, which English doesn't have, but French has the same. It's a difference between saying tu and vous. It's basically, I don't know, thy and thou in English, like you would address God way back when.
Mhm.
In German, if you don't know somebody, you address them very formally, and that is the same in romance. It's like you would address. So at some point, you have to switch from saying sie, the formal, to the informal du. Obviously, that doesn't happen in English. So somewhere you have to add a line where the characters either say that or explain that, or it makes sense. Otherwise, you just lost the cultural context in German. So those are the things. I love it. It makes it easy for my translators that I do speak German and I speak enough French to understand. But it's a challenge at times. I love it, but this is why you need a good translator. It's not easy.
That's amazing. I was reading recently about the Japanese culture. Now, neither one of us speak Japanese, I don't think, but the Japanese culture and a problem that they had in airlines. And this is specifically because in the Japanese culture, there's such a, I guess, a hierarchical way you could look at things.
Mhm.
A stewardess in no way, shape, or form could ever be seen to even speak in the wrong way to the pilot, let alone correct a pilot, that sort of thing. There's a hierarchical thing going on there. They had serious problems in their airlines as a result of this. For instance, if the stewardess would see a problem that was happening in the cabin, that sort of thing, she couldn't even address the pilot to bring the problem
Yeah.
up because of cultural differences and just the way they speak back and forth, which also explains why I'm sure that American tourists going to someone like Japan would just freak people the fuck out. Um, my best friend Anna actually did a year of college. I think it was a year, maybe two, in Japan. There are other just cultural oddities, like
Yeah.
you can't eat in a bus, shit like that you just don't even think about. It's amazing to me, these differences, though, because in the cultural sense as well, you approach writing in a different manner, and you're an amazing author. I love working for you, but your writing is, I can't say that it feels Dutch. I don't know what the fuck that feels like, but it is a different approach. I absolutely enjoy
It
it.
is.
So what's up with you and daddies? What the,
Hmm.
not to
There's
change
a
the
segue.
subject.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
No,
you have a
I've
problem
I've
with your
noticed
daddies?
it's a little awkward, but it's something I'm becoming accustomed to. I get typecast into these daddy books a lot. I pick up a fucking lot of them, and I don't know if it's the way I'm assuming it's the way I sound, and I can do a good kind of daddy vibe thing. Um, you take daddy things to a whole new level. I've learned more about the daddy relationship than so. I mean, is this something? I don't mean to get too personal or anything, but is this something that you're personally fascinated with? Is this a relationship you've been in the past? Have you just figured out that people fucking buy daddy books? What's the story behind this? Please tell me, Nora Phoenix. I'll be quiet now.
Um, That's a good question, actually. Is it something I've personal experience with? No. I am single. I've been single ever since my divorce. What is it? 5.5 years ago. I'm also asexual, so I'm very happily single. It's also not something I would ever see myself in. Hey, I shouldn't say ever because, people change. I'm way too independent for it. One of the reasons why I'm very happily single is that I love my life and I love the freedom I have. I love that I get to travel and do whatever the fuck I want. And the last thing I need is a daddy telling me what I can or can't do.
It's
Like, I
in
don't
God.
think that will work out well. I mean, my family isn't known for, being like we like being told what to do. And that includes my son, by the way. So, yeah. Um, I am fascinated by the dynamics. I really love the idea of voluntarily submitting and just saying, even though I am an adult, even though, and like in the case of the 47 duology, where Kinsey was older, even though I am older, I have a career. He's an ER doctor, is to still say, but I choose to submit. I choose to basically surrender and let somebody else decide. I can imagine how good that would feel for somebody who needs that. And so I really basically get into my character's skin in Kinsey's case, and just imagine, look, here's a man, obviously he's been through a lot, but here's a man who was an ER doc, who has so much responsibility in his everyday life. I can imagine how good it would feel to not have that in your personal life, to just say, and now I don't have to do anything. Now my daddy gets to decide for me. And it's really hot and it sells really well. So there's your story.
I have to I have to interrupt here. Not really interrupt, but just in an odd. Hi, Mom. My mother's in the crowd, so I have to say hi to my
Oh,
mother while I have this daddy
John's
conversation.
mom.
So the in acting the roles, I've gone through stages of this. Okay, in the beginning, it was the what the fuck is going on stage. What did I just read? Now this is coming from a heterosexual man that did not set out to narrate romance in the beginning. I just didn't understand it. Then I went through a stage of, well, I guess I'm going to be doing these a lot. I got that voice. I guess this is the way it's going to go down. Let's get accustomed to it. Bite the bullet here. I see your definition of it, and I will raise that a bit more. To get into an acting role now, what I have to do oftentimes is I will imagine that something else is happening. Now, it's not because I'm particularly grossed out. The daddy thing ain't my favorite, but it's all right. We'll move past that for a second. Typically, what I'm going to imagine to get myself into the role of Kinsey, for instance, is I'm imagining scenarios that either have happened in my life in the past that I can relate to the particular emotion in the scene, or I'm even imagining a scene and imagining a fantasy that could happen in my head. And this is not sexual at all. In the
Mm.
case of Kinsey, for instance, what now I can't really. It's kind of taboo to give away the actual thing that you're thinking about as an actor. But I will say that what I was thinking of was somebody that had been beaten down.
Mm.
The feeling of being beaten down. I love the relation that you just made with the ER doc. A lot of stress and that sort of thing. Now, not to spoil the story or anything, but very early on we find out that he's no longer in the ER being a doctor. Um, that I used as kind of a beatdown scenario. I can see where the beatdown scenario happens and you need somebody to come along and say that it's going to be all right. I can see that. For me to get into that role, I had to imagine that for a long period of time. That was a longish book, you know. I spent 20, 30 hours in the book. And to be quite honest with you, I got depressed. Um, I got
Sorry.
and this is the see now as a reader reading the story, I don't think readers are going to get that. But I, as an
Mm.
actor, had to live it for a little while. And you can ask the people that watched me. I was getting fucking frustrated because I was down. I mean, for like a week straight, I was down. As an author, now you don't have to tell me like what you're imagining going through, and you kind of gave me a little bit of insight there. But do you find yourself getting sucked into that emotion so hard that you kind of? I mean, I had to step away for a couple days afterwards. I was just
Oh,
kind of
hell yeah.
down.
Oh, hell yeah. I guess with the 47 duology, even more because it was such a personal story to me. A lot of it is not the details, but a lot of it is based on what my ex husband went through. We were married for a lot of years, got married on the exact same circumstances, evangelical church. We're told that, you had to pray away the gay. So writing those books and that story was tough at times because it it brought back a lot of those emotions. It was also really healthy for me and really liberating. And by the time I had finished writing the second book, I felt a lot lighter, having gone through it and having processed it. But it really, really affects you. And I think probably for me, and I know because you're a PK. I mean, sorry, pastor's kids.
Hmm.
You know, you know the setting of the book. That makes it different for people who haven't gone through a religious upbringing like that. I think they don't have that same weight of emotion. The addiction, it, personally, I don't have experience with it. I have loved ones who have struggled with addiction. So that too is something you bring into it. And I really try to go through those emotions when I write because that makes it as authentic as possible. But that also makes it tough on me. So after finishing the second book, I was very ready to switch to something a little lighter, which is hired the second book in the. Oh, did I finish Jilted first? I think I finished Jilted and then hired the Foster Brothers series, which I was really ready for. It's much lighter. I needed that, and I think readers will too, and
The
you do
the
too.
way, yeah, the way I'm dealing with the daddy books, and I think I'm over the. And I don't know. I don't fucking care. People watch me or they don't watch me. They listen to my books or they don't listen to my books. There was a time where I was absolutely disgusted with it. I'm still not like, I could never be in that kind of relationship. I just couldn't. It's the powerlessness of it. I'm attracted to somebody that
Hmm.
is independent. So it's a complete opposite. I'm not dissing
Same.
anybody that is, and that's all good. That's you do you, man. But there was a time in my career where and now I'm dealing with it and just trying to dive into the rest of the emotions of the character. The only way I can figure out how to deal with that aspect, and especially like in a Kinsey situation, is to imagine that downtrodden would be the best way to put it. I'm going to have to figure out a different way to deal with that at some point because, I mean, these things, now, you will spend, let's say, 30 days writing a book. I don't know how long you take. You're Nora the machine. Maybe you're writing two a night. I don't really know. But um, for, I spend about somewhere in the midst of, if it's an 80K book, I'm probably going to spend somewhere in the midst of 5 days on it, maybe a week on it, somewhere in there. And if I do two or three of these daddy style books back to back, I have to live in that emotion for a long period of time, and it's not a pleasant thing for me. I'm going to have to figure out a different way to deal with it. I'm just thinking out loud right now, trying to think about a new
No,
way
but
to
I
approach it.
I can imagine. I think I recently wrote a blog post on my website where I explained a little bit because readers sometimes ask me like, why are you switching between series? Why don't you finish one series first and then switch to another? Or why do you do like the 47 duology initially wasn't planned? Like that idea came and I decided to write it. And they're like, why are you not writing series in order? Well, that's one of the reasons is because some books are a lot harder emotionally for me to write and I can't write them back to back. I used to, and then I was completely drained. So I've learned to basically put the heavier books and then do a lighter book and then do something else just to keep my brain healthy and my emotions my emotions healthy because some books are just a lot harder for me to write emotionally. So I would not be able to write a lot of the same heavy books back to back. So I can totally imagine that with you narrating it, that it gets hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that emotional content of it. You really did
Mm.
hit and I'm sorry to stay on the new daddy thing, but they're interesting topics for me to talk about. The religious aspect of it, you nailed. I mean, you really, you got that. One thing I didn't experience personally, and you'd mentioned specifically that people saw homosexuality as a sin equal to, or even worse than in some cases, rape, murder, that this was seen and I grew up in some pretty heavy duty full gospel churches. I don't remember it being seen like that. I certainly remember it being seen in the churches I went to as that's a sin. And in fact,
Mm,
dirty, nasty. Like if for instance, I can imagine in growing up of like if especially at a younger age, if it was known that a person was homosexual, I would have been made to cross the street. That sort of thing. That's how we were raised. Um, Now, that being said, it was a completely different culture back then too, and I think that the churches that me and you were raised in, because we're pretty close to the same age, have many of them have changed in and of themselves as the culture becomes more aware. My
not
parents have
enough.
probably not
Yeah,
enough.
not
My
enough.
my my parents have become much more enlightened. Fuck, my mom's in the crowd right now. I mean, that goes to show how much
Yeah.
some of this has changed along the way. But you did a fantastic job with the religious aspect of it. You really did. You nailed that on the head.
Mhm.
What are we getting into with Jilted Jaron? What's the story behind the Foster Brothers deal?
So, like I said, it's going to be a lot lighter, which I needed. And I also think it's fun to do something else. So, the concept behind the Foster Brothers is basically you have these four kids who grew up in foster care together in Chicago and became really close. And because they didn't have any other family, they basically declared themselves brothers and all adopted the same last name, Foster. And so they decided to move to Seattle, start a new life there, and that's where we pick up the story. So you have these four guys, and out of the four, Jaron is the only one who's straight, obviously. And so he thinks he has it all. He's this kid growing up in foster care, and now he has a job. He's successful. He has a fiance. He's about to get married, and then the day before he gets married, she dumps him. She breaks things off. So all of a sudden, and because he worked for her father, all of a sudden he's like, no fiance, no wedding, no job, and he already sold his apartment because they were going to move in together. So now he doesn't have anywhere to live either. So it's like the bottom is, gone. And so her brother takes Jaren in because, he's nice like that. He's also had a crush on Jaren for many years, but, his sister's fiance, not much he could do about that. And then the question is Jaren really straight? Well, I don't think I'm going to give a spoiler by saying, hey, turns out he's not.
Huh.
Huh, right? They never are, John. They never are.
They always have large penises too. That's the other thing. Like they're not straight,
He
and they always
doesn't.
got big dicks. Not a big.
He
No
doesn't.
way. Did you write a character with a small dick? I don't believe you.
I do. I did multiple, actually, multiple.
What? What? I
I
wait.
have
So
multiple characters with a small dick.
all
I
right,
promise.
I'm gonna have to write this shit down. I People are in the crowd. No way. I mean, they know they've read all your books. I've only read the ones you paid me to read, but still, I don't remember one with a small dick. I bet you it probably happened though. She has. She has. See, okay, yes, they're saying you have. Okay,
Yeah.
so I stand corrected. Sorry.
Indie Pixie, Raph from Gentle Hand. That's three that come to mind. So
Did they
that's three,
leak?
John.
Okay, if they have a small dick, do they still leak like copious amounts of? Oh, or my 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 favorite one, the ropes have come. I actually do.
I know.
I I I
Well,
I, I
um,
totally do.
it so this is where I claim creative freedom. Like, look, there's stuff that has to be realistic. The sex scenes are not. They're
I
just not.
so
I don't claim they are. I'm like, come on,
I
people.
so enjoy you. I so enjoy
It's
you.
if that's what people find sexy, hell, I'll write it. Like, whatever. Buckets of I'm good with that.
I think it must have been the last new Daddy at 47. I was editing. Jody's been doing some of my editing for my wife again. It's wonderful. She jumps in, so she puts a little marker whenever she hears a sound that needs to be fixed. And one of them was every time you say ropes of cum. I put up my hands like there's been a touchdown in a football game. Um, so I was recording the book, of course, and I'm performing live, and ropes have come. So I'm going through and hitting Jody's markers in the editing of the book afterwards, and like 3 of them were from ropes of cum. I hit the table each time I said ropes of cum.
I'll
Yeah.
have to pay attention to that to make sure I'm not
Next time,
overusing
next
it.
time
But
you
yeah.
write ropes of cum, imagine me holding up my
Oh my,
arms like,
oh, imagine the touchdown. Oh my God, John, what are you doing to me? I need to write a sex scene tomorrow. I won't be able to. I'll be laughing
yep,
too hard.
yep. It's gonna be like small braids of cum. That's
Yeah, no, a few drops. A few drops.
well,
Look,
that's all right. If it makes you feel any better, today we did some sort of it might have been a golden shower scene. It was something to that effect, and maybe it was yesterday. I forget. I don't know. They all blend together now. But we figured out that it reminded me a great deal of that scene from Bambi where they're drip drip drop little April showers. Da, 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 da. So,
oh my
so
God.
we've been
I'm
singing
not
that for
sure
the
that's
last
an
couple.
association I wanted to have, but thank you.
I could I couldn't help
Oh
it.
God.
I I
Oh.
have enjoyed these greatly. A couple things that we need to get here. One, people have asked me all week long to ask you about GRL, so I'm assuming we can confirm that you're going to GRL this year. Is that correct?
I am. Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Um,
I had initially planned to go as a reader because the sign up process for authors is has always been super stressful. Like the registration opens at noon and it is literally sold out within a minute. And to me, I was not in a good place where I was willing to face that stress. Like it was I've had enough stress for the last few weeks. I was like, I'm not doing it. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go as a reader. But then I looked at the website 45 minutes after the deadline or the registration opened, and there were still spots available. I think because they changed some of the format, they had a lot more author spots. And so I took an author spot and I'm like, hey, that worked out really well. I didn't have the stress. I still have an author spot. I'm a happy camper. So, yes, I'll be there and I'm really looking forward to it.
Excellent. Now, I was telling you a little bit before, and I still can't really announce anything that's confirmed yet, but there's a good chance we're going to be doing some Talk to the Beards, and that's there's a good chance that's going to be happening in a larger forum than we did last year at GRL. I hope to get you on as a guest. I think that'd be absolutely wonderful. Be able to do this face to face, and that way there's not the pause, and I really look forward to that. But if nothing else, I have I have a crew that like that it's an entourage, you might say, of people that like walk around. It's there's like 10 or they're like, and they shove people out of the way for me. It's fucking awesome. But if you could come to lunch or dinner some night with the crew, that would mean a lot to me.
Absolutely. I
Now,
would
are
love
you
that.
are you bringing that Vicky chick with you as well? Is she going to be showing up too? Has that been confirmed yet?
I really hope so. Vicky has the complication that her daughter will be a senior, and so there's a lot of school stuff going on. So she's still double checking the dates to make sure she can make it. The last I heard, it was looking good. I'm really hoping she'll be there. The previous time Vicky and I were in Portsmouth, I had to drive her to the ER. So let's not do that again. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know that I've met anyone that hasn't seen Vicky's breasts now except for me. I've heard that that is the case where there's
They're
just
quite lovely.
I've heard
They're,
yeah, I mean, heard heard these small
yeah,
flotation
it
devices,
was.
but I mean, I heard that, and
Oh
this is from a
God.
lot of different people that they're oh yeah, I saw her breast, and I'm like, what the. How's this? I mean, I'm a happily married man, but I mean, you show me a good breast, I'm all right. So yeah, Vicky, if she is able to come, if we could maybe less breast showing, that I don't know, maybe more. I don't know. You should probably pretty popular, help sell some books.
I look. I'm not guaranteeing any boob sites, but um, so the last time we were in Portsmouth was actually the first time Vicky and I met. So we obviously she was already working for me, and we had talked a whole bunch online and whatever, but we never met in person. And so we met on Wednesday night when she arrived, and Thursday morning when she got sick. I had indeed seen pretty much all of her body, which was, quite the let's just say things escalated quickly after that, but you really get to know somebody that way. And it just like I still feel bad because she had really been looking forward to it, and obviously a lot of her experience got taken away because of the whole ER thing. So I'm hoping for a good repeat, um, one with a lot more health. Let's fingers crossed. So
Yeah.
and boobs, all the boobs,
And boobs. Yeah, there's
equal
nothing wrong with
opportunity gal here. Boobs are good.
boobs. Um,
Nope.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I hope that we do get to hang out at least, if nothing else, even not for Talk to the Beard, if maybe we can go to dinner or something like that. Now I know that you have been, and I actually in my show prep that I did, I looked on your website and I saw that comment about you jumping to multiple series. I know that you've got the Foster Brothers going on right now. I know that you just sent over some stuff to me for the Irresistible Omegas bundles. Um,
Yes.
Now, the new Daddy at 47, the 47 series, is that going to be? Are you closing the door on that one? Is that a possibility moving forward in the future? What's going on with that one?
Um, There are characters, so Leaf and Frank, I think, definitely deserve a story, and I do hope to write their story, but it will be either a standalone or a separate duology. I don't want to connect it to the 47 because it wouldn't really make sense. That story was really about Kinsey,
Hmm.
Kinsey Amanoni, and so I do hope in the future to write that, but this is really a problem I have. I have so many ideas and so many books I want to write. And I mean, you're jokingly calling me a machine. I write pretty fast, and even I can't keep up with all the ideas. So it's a good problem to have, but honestly, it's frustrating sometimes. There are a lot of stories that I wish I had written already, but I just don't have the time. And I've released a lot. So it's just,
Yeah,
I'm doing what I can. Yeah.
it's all good. And that's one other question I wanted to ask you. Okay, you got Polani. There's one weird name. And the 47 series. There was in every book that I've read of yours. There are, and I don't know if this is a Dutch thing. There are words and names I don't know. I'm not sure, but there are always very unique names. Is there a reason for this? Are you doing this
Yes.
intentionally? Or are these okay? So there is a reason. Please
Yes.
tell me.
Yes. The reason is that, how do I explain this? I don't like to use the same names that other authors use. Like, I want people to immediately recognize a name as one of my characters. I think, look, when you say Logan and Tate, everybody knows you're talking about Ella Frank book. Like, that is such a, and it's Dexter and Sloan, is Charlie Cochet. I want that same association with my books. I didn't start out that way because the No Shame series, those guys have pretty generic names. I mean, we got Josh and Connor and Noah. I mean, that's pretty common. And at some point, I was like, you know what? I really want to do special names. It started with the Irresistible Omegas, and then it just grew from there. And now it's kind of like a trademark thing. And so the funny thing is, in the Irresistible Omegas, there's one guy that has an ordinary name, which is Sean, from Omega's Protector. And that's because when I started out in book one, I hadn't decided that he would get a book. So he got a really ordinary name. I'm like, well, that's a throwaway character. And then it turns out, shit, he is going to get his own story. So he is the only character in that book, main character, with a really ordinary name. I'm sorry, Sean. I apologize. You deserve better, but it is what it is.
As much as I bitch about it in the booth, and rest assured, I bitch about it in the booth because I can never. It takes me by the time we got to book 10 in Irresistible Omegas, I had Panini down, Polani. But yeah,
Oh my God.
but yeah, the whole time. There, the funny thing was, there was an actor that used to work for me, and one of his very first books he did. There's this line, and I have a sound clip of it somewhere. It's him saying in a Kentucky style accent, "I don't know about you, but I want a panini." So for the first fucking 3 books, every time Polani came, "I don't know about you, but I want a panini." That's what's just going through. So
Oh my
as much as I bitch and gripe about it in the booth, please keep. It's fucking awesome. It is because most of the time. And I don't know if it works like this for readers. As a narrator, most of the time, I cannot remember a character's name to save my goddamn life. It is ridiculous because I do so many books,
God.
and they all blend. It doesn't matter what the character.
Yep.
Oftentimes, I'll forget until book 2 or 3. I'll have to constantly keep checking to make sure I got the voice right because I don't remember names. They blend. Yours, I remember them. I will. In fact,
Yep.
my Polani voice that I do is now a Polani voice. even though I've used a similar style voiceover, it's now Polani. That's when my
It's
pre-reader tells
Polani.
me, do this voice, it's Polani. That's, a good job.
It's a style. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
works like a charm. And paninis are delicious, by the way.
They are,
The,
they are. And by the way, fun thing for readers, if you look up the meaning of some of my names, you'll see that usually they'll also fit the character. Like I don't ever use that in the book itself, or rarely, I should say. But if you look up the names I use for the characters and then their character and what they do in the book, you'll see that it usually fits.
hmm,
So that's a little. I think. Look, I bought a baby names book for 50
yeah.
cents on a yard sale. That's how I got it. I literally take them out of the book, and then I tend to pick European names because I pronounce them European in my head. Polani to me is very easy to pronounce, and like I wouldn't say Leiden in my head. It's Lidon, but that's me being Dutch. So
Mhm.
readers can pronounce it however the fuck they want. I don't care. I really don't care.
Readers and
You
narrators can
can't.
pronounce
You
it
have to
however
do it
they,
the way
yeah.
I tell you.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe someday I should ask about that sort of thing. But the Irresistible Omegas, not only do you have bonus material, are you writing in that universe again? Not just bonus material,
Yes.
but like an actual new book?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I am now finishing up Hired Hadley, which is the second book in the Foster Brothers, and after that, I will start on the first book in a spin-off series from the Irresistible Omegas, which is called Irresistible Dragons. So, John, you'll get to voice dragons, which is, I think, pretty damn cool. The good news is that the first book does not have daddies, so that should make you really happy. It does, however, have some strange names, but we can work that out. Um, I just, I've been wanting to write this series for a long time, ever since I finished the Irresistible Omegas. But to me, I didn't want to just write it the same way I did the Irresistible Omegas because then it's just more of the same. And I get tired of it at some point, but I think readers get tired of it. I wanted something fresh, like still a spin-off. It should be about the second pack, but also fresh. That's why I didn't write it, because that idea wouldn't come. And then in the fall of last year, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, dragons, like that's it. And so now I have the idea. The first book is going to be called Dragon's Mate, and we are going to see two alphas together. So we're going to see how that works out. Now, people have asked me, is this series going to be MM or MMM? The answer is I don't know yet, which I know sounds really stupid considering I'm the author. I won't know until I start writing it, because these two guys will have to show me whether they can work it out together or whether they're going to need a third person. I can't tell at this point. We'll see.
Okay, I have questions. And actually, there's a lot of. As soon as you said dragons, by the way, the comments just started going batshit crazy, which is fantastic. And honestly, I've only done a few dragon books in my career, but they seem to be. There's a lot of unmined potential there, I think, in the industry.
Yes.
So I think, yeah, let's see Nora do dragons. That being said, the first question, and this actually is from the crowd, is it still the Hightower pack?
It's going to be the second Hightower pack. So the characters in the first book are going to be Renee, who is the alpha of the second pack, the spin-off
Mhm.
pack, and one of the dragons,
Excellent.
whose
Um,
name, I have to be really honest, escapes me at this point. I don't know. I haven't written a story yet. Sorry, I picked a name. I don't know. Something with an E.
my mother suggested baloney, which I would not go with my mother's suggestion. The second question,
I mean, we have
yeah,
baloney.
yeah, I know. Bologna and bologna
Oh,
would be
crap.
fed.
Okay.
Yeah, my mother always has the
Thanks, John's
best
mom.
ideas.
That's funny.
Yeah. The second question I have here, my favorite thing about the Irresistible Omegas, which I can't remember if that was the first thing I did for you, but it was very close to the first thing I did for you, and it was a long series. There's an overarching, I think it's how you say it, overarching theme, an overarching plot that weaves from one story to another. And you're not even necessarily introducing a new couple in every story. There are certainly, I think there's three main couples throughout the entire thing, perhaps four. But the fact is, there's this plot that weaves beautifully through all 10 books. That was my favorite part personally. And this is not just as a narrator at all, although that did keep me hooked as a narrator, and it really developed the way I played these characters, but also as an actual reader of the books. I was just thoroughly impressed. It was goddamn good. Are you going to be doing something like that, where there's something happening, something big in the universe? It's not just I'm man A, I'm man B. You look attractive. I'm not really gay. Yes, you are, Daddy. And then they fuck. Is there going to be like some sort of plot going? Sorry, that's my question. That was from
Sorry.
the crowd. It wasn't from me. That was.
Oh my God. This summary, Daddy. Then they fuck. Oh God,
Yeah, yeah.
you're killing me here. Yes, there will be. So the idea is that the dragons have hid themselves for centuries. So when things started to go south, they chose to basically hide themselves from the world. They have magic that they can keep up and keep themselves hidden. But then when the wolves got back their magic, when Lion turned out to be the true alpha, that power stirred, and that's now waking up the dragons. But not everybody is going to be happy to see not only the wolves step into their power, but to see the dragons return. And so the dragons are going to face some enemies. Now, here's the thing: the wolves and the dragons, many years ago, they had a pact that if the dragons were attacked, the wolves would have to come to their rescue. So now the question is: are the wolves going to honor that pact and stand behind the dragons, or are they going to say, "Look, you weren't there for us when we needed you, so to quote a very famous quote from the last week, Russian warship, go fuck yourself? Or are they going to say, you know what, dragons, go fuck yourself? So we're going to find out. But yes, that's going to be a plot throughout the series, which is also what I loved about the Irresistible Omegas, is that whole plot. I love that too. I had so much fun with that.
You did a great job on it, dude. Same thing with your with the President series that we worked on, and
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I can't remember the name of the series now, but I remember working on it very, very well, and I loved it. It was fantastic.
White House Men
Um,
series.
and so Jody did the pre-reads on most of those, and the entire time I'm trying to, we weren't working those back to back entirely, and she had other projects she needed to go on to, and the White House Men. Thank you so much. And she was, I want to get back to the White House Men. I, which is that is high praise coming from my wife.
It is.
The fact that she wanted to get into this more, she was very, very, very happy with it, and you did a great job on that too. We're about to wrap up a few things here. Um, by the way, hang on here. I got to address questions from the crowd. There's not a chance in hell I'm going to ever write a book. And it's because that is the extent of my plot line. You saw with my hand show there, the extent of my plot. That's just not, no. And what Nora does is so much harder than anything that I could ever do in a million years. She actually creates a shit. All I have to do is read the words on my page and collect money. It's awesome. Thank you for coming on. I missed a ton of comments, especially in the beginning of this, because we were just having fun and chatting back and forth. So if you could pop in like last time and answer some questions, that'd be awesome. Is there anything that I didn't address as far as new work coming out, new things you're working on, anything else you want to tell us about?
Nope. I think you pretty much got it.
Excellent. Thank you for coming on. Everybody, thanks for hanging out. This will be up on YouTube tomorrow as well. So for anybody that that couldn't get it today, and obviously, Nora, if you want to drop the link in after I put it on YouTube in your group too, so people that didn't see it can still see it, that'd be fantastic. Love you all. Thank you for hanging out, Nora. I'm sure we'll talk again soon. And I will see the rest of you, I guess, here in a couple hours on Discord again. Have fun and wait.